Let's build a manual air controller to regulate the airbags on my Hudson Rat Truck build, and let's do it rat rod style. Coming up. Hey, how's the jokes, and welcome back to my forest workshop. If you don't know me, my name is Duff. Like this back axle thing, the differential, that first part of the word. So I'm a little bit tired, or my back is a little bit tired of bending over this frame here. So for a change of pace, I want to spend some time at the bench and I want to build the air controller for my airbags. So yes, I know you can get fancy electronic things with solenoids and even remote Bluetooth. It's not my style. It doesn't fit this rat truck as far as I'm concerned. So I want to build something manual. So me and my buddy chatted about it a little bit, and I was considering ways in which to do it. And he told me about the video that Rat Rod Bob put out, and in which he showed how he did it. So I had a look at his video. Bob, if you're watching, I was lekker or nice. So I'm going to use your idea as an inspiration and come up with my version of exactly the same thing. Hey, and before I forget, it's the 4th of July soon. So to the guys in the US, happy Independence Day. Enjoy your barbecue or parade or fireworks or whatever you plan to do. And let's not forget our mates up in Canada, a little bit further to the north. On the 1st of July, it's Canada Day. So you boys, have a lucky one. So I screwed together some imaginary standard pipe fittings here on my whiteboard to develop the concept. Took me a while to figure it out, but I think this is going to work. So let me explain to you how I am thinking. This is the air supply that comes from my air vessel or air tank. This ball valve is closed, so the air can't go anywhere at the moment. This pressure gauge will then give me the pressure I have in my air vessel. When I open this ball valve, air can flow down. Can't go that way because this one is closed. So it flows this way down to the bag, and it can inflate the bag. Once the bag is inflated to my liking, I close this again. And now this pressure gauge will give me bag pressure. If I want to deflate the bag, remember this one is closed, I simply open this valve, air can escape, bag deflates. So it's like a waste valve, I suppose. At first I thought, let me tee here and do 2 bags with the same system. And then I thought, but you know what, if you've got 2 bags connected here, you can actually transfer air from one bag to the other. So if you corner hard, you might run into problems. And I also had a few guys comment on exactly the same thing in a previous video. So my plan is to build this thing for each and every bag. So I need to do 4 of them and figure out how I'm going to put them all together. I picked up a box full of standard galvanized 3/8 pipe fittings from my local plumbing shop. I got some nipples and I got some T-pieces and some 3/8 ball valves. So let's see how we can assemble these and see if we can make sense of it all and how we can make it work. Okay, so I've assembled my 3/8 pipe fittings according to my drawing. So let's see. This is where we will get our air supply, will come in there. This ball valve is closed, so this pressure gauge here will give me the pressure of my air vessel. In the end, these gauges won't be living here. I will probably have them fitted remotely on a dashboard or some instrument panel. So now when I open this ball valve, like that, air will flow to my bag. Can't go this way, this one is closed. Once the bag is inflated enough to my liking, I close it. and this gauge here will give me the pressure that I have in my airbag. Now if I want to deflate my bag, I will open this ball valve. Air will escape and the bag will deflate. So inflate, deflate. Yes, I think it's going to work well. So of course this setup is only to operate one bag. So I've assembled another one. So I now need to come up with a way to connect all four, because there's 4 bags, 4 of them together. So at first I was going to make a manifold like this with standard pipe fittings, and then I will have my 4 assemblies sitting right next to each other. But it just makes it a little too wide. This contraption is to fit in between my 2 seats above the tunnel. So instead I'm going to make a manifold with this piece of heavy wall pipe. And then I can have these levers and ball valves and all the rest of it a little bit closer to each other. The plan is then to weld on these 3/8 sockets like that. These particular ones are bare steel, they are not galvanized. I think they call them steam pipe fittings, I could be wrong. If you want to weld these sockets, don't use those galvanized ones. Even if you grind the galvanizing off, they still give you endless problems. So not worth the trouble. You're really going to have a fight. And say, well, once these are welded on, I can cap the ends. I welded on my sockets and the end caps using the good old stick welder. I really do feel that you have less chances of a pinhole with the stick welder. I mean, after all, 1,000 pipe welders in the field can't be wrong. For my South African mates, I used Transarc 6013 rods from Afrox. They might be a little bit more expensive than the cheaper Chinese versions or imports, but at least you get consistent results. I had a discussion with my buddy Henk at Air Systems about this kind of welding, and he's in full agreement with me. Now, he's been in the air and compressed air and air system industry for many years. They install airlines and manifolds and fabricate water traps and all that sort of thing on an industrial and commercial scale. And he also said that when they use MIG welding, they always have problems with pinholes and air leaks. So he uses stick welding exclusively. So who are we to argue? So I'm going to pressure test this thing to make sure that we've got no air leaks. So I'm just going to screw on my ball valves. So these 4 lines will go to each of the airbags. Then down here, this will be a connection point for a gauge. Pressure gauge for system pressure, and this is where my air supply will connect. So I've just screwed on a fitting so I can click in my air supply from my compressor. I've got about a little bit more than 6 bar available. So there's 14.5 psi to a bar, so roughly 100 psi. I'm going to connect my air supply down here, click that in place. And now I can paint all my welds with some soapy water. I can actually hear some air leaking somewhere. Let's see. Now we got a leak here on my pipe fitting. I need some more thread tape, but let's check out the welds. I don't see any bubbles on the weld so far, so that's looking good. Also a bit of a leak here on my supply fitting. That can be sorted out with some thread tape, but my weld seems to be fine, eh? How cool is that? No air leaks on my welds, just some here on the threaded fittings, but that can be sorted out. Awesome. I'm a happy chappy, looks like I can still run that stick welder. And my end caps, it's just a piece of flat bar. I've left it over long. I'm going to use these to mount this contraption down the line in between my seats. So these stock handles or levers are not going to work for me. I want to extend them, and I think I want to angle them as well. So I'm not going to use these. If a man all alone in a forest needs to make 8 little levers, how many grinders does he need? Exactly 4. Cutting, grinding, P40 flap disc and a nylon fleece disc. I got 2 Makitas and I got 2 cheapies. Yeah, why not use the cheapies as well? When I pack up, you just chuck them away. These ones are Black & Decker, I think. Got them on a real special side, just bought 2. I actually got another Makita, but he needs to go to the hospital. I'm going to take this plastic off, cut this thing shorter, take the bends out of it, so flatten it, because I want to retain and keep that little bit, so I can reuse it. I'm going to weld this little bitty piece onto my new lever, because life really is too short to be making this little part from scratch. So I made 4 of them, and I'm just going to stick on the last one. So go on like that. Yes, we're getting somewhere now. So now I'm going to make T-handles. So I've actually got 4 pieces of pipe with a piece of round bar inside to help keep it lined up. It was a little loose fitting, so I wrapped it with masking tape to make the diameter what I want. So now my idea is to tack this on here, and hopefully it all works out and it stays lined up. It's a bit of got a bit of fiddling to get everything here to be square and lined up and looking good. So I bet these things are going to jump out of line when I tap out this bar. See, it's not lining up. What did I tell you? But at least now I can work 2 together or each one individually. I will see if I can get this line up a little bit better. So of course I had to take them off to weld them fully. And now that I've got them on the table, I'm thinking I might as well cap these ends. And scratching here through my boxes, I found these little steel balls that will be a nice fit right there. Problem is I've only got 2 of them. So I'm going to cut them in half. Now how do you cut a little ball like this in half? You weld a little bit of flat bar onto it. Now I can hold it in the vise and slice it in half. Now I can stick my little half ball on here, weld it and grind it nicely. Like so. I'm not really sure that I like it that much anymore. Let me go and stick them all back together, assemble the thing, and we can see what it looks like. No, I think I can live with that. That looks alright. So I've added the back row of ball valves. So now I've got to make 4 levers again, exactly the same as what I have here. At this point, a stern word of warning. As they are so fond of saying, do not try and attempt this at home unless you are a complete sucker for punishment, like I am. It takes a lot of messing around, a lot of patience, and a lot of persistence to get this contraption to work. But the determination pays off. I think it's quite cool, and I also think it's going to work very well. Front airbags inflate. If I want a little bit more ride height, until I'm happy with the pressure. Rear airbags inflate as well. I can tune each back individually if I needed to. If I want to slam the truck, front airbags deflate, rear airbags deflate. Yes, man. So I will have this set up on each of these lines. Air supply coming from the manifold. If I open this valve, it will flow down to here. This side I can see my pressure. This pressure gauge will be mounted on the dashboard eventually. And here's the supply line to the bag. This ball valve is closed, so if I open this one, I will release the air pressure from the airbag. And since I've got so much time into this contraption already, I might as well come up with labels that I can maybe stick on here, so that I know which set of handles is for the front and which is for the rear. A bit of copper plate, the letter punches, and we have some steampunk style labels. Now yeah, it's definitely got that handmade look. It's not perfect. If you want to build a show car, you can have the labels engraved by a fancy machine. Heck, you could even chrome these levers if you wanted to. But we're just building a rat rod, man. This is good enough for me. At least now I've got indication of which levers is for where. Well, my air controller is done. But before we can really test it, I still got to fit some airbags. We need to think about the air tank, stuff like that. So I think at this point, SOS mode will apply. Slower, older and smarter. Especially the first one, slower. So, so I'm going to contemplate my sins for a while. And then I'll see you in the next video when we carry on with this business. Thanks for hanging out with me. I enjoyed it. Have a lekker one.